Hi everyone, and welcome to Disney Decades. I'm your host, Nick LoCicero. In Disney Decades, I'm going to read about an event that happened in Disney Parks history, and you have to guess what year that event occurred. But there's a twist. In front of you, you should have a board with the dates 1950 through 2020. This is called the Time Wheel. You also have a set of 7 game pieces called Time Windows. If you don't yet have your Time Wheel and Time Windows, just pause this video and visit www.nt.com/DisneyDecades to download the game for free. Now, each time window is large enough to cover a series of years from 1 to 7. If you're really sure about a date, use a smaller time window. If you aren't too sure, use one of your larger time windows to cover more years. Once you use a time window, set it aside. It is no longer available for you to use. I have 15 events, and if you run out of time windows before I run out of events, you win. You'll have 20 seconds after I read an event to place your time window. If you need more time, just pause the video. No one's looking. It's now time to play Disney Decades. Have fun and good luck. Here is the first event. Space Mountain opens at Disneyland. In what year did Space Mountain open at Disneyland? Go ahead and place your first time window. Just a few seconds left to get that first one placed. All right, time's up. The year was 1977. 1977. All right, I hope you got off to a good start. Here is the second event. The happiest celebration on Earth begins at all Disney theme parks. In what year did Disney launch the happiest celebration on Earth? It was a big event that took place in all of the Disney theme parks. All right, time's up. That happened in 2005. The happiest celebration on Earth was in 2005. All right, here's event number 3. The Festival of Fantasy Parade debuts at the Magic Kingdom. What year did that parade debut at the Magic Kingdom? The Festival of Fantasy Parade. Time's almost up, and time's up. All right, that happened in 2014. Festival of Fantasy debuted in 2014. All right, the fourth event. Here we go. 7,500 people attend the very first New Year's Eve party at Disneyland. The very first New Year's Eve party at Disneyland, 7,500 people attended. Probably a few more people that go to the parks on New Year's Eve these days. All right, time's up. That happened in 1958, way back in 1958. All right, here is the fifth event. With international flags in Tomorrowland, Disneyland celebrates the Geophysical Year, a global effort for a comprehensive study of the Earth. This one might be a tough one for you. What year did Disneyland celebrate the Geophysical Year? It was a global effort for a comprehensive study of the Earth. I don't think we talk enough about the Geophysical Year. Well, that was back in 1957. The Geophysical Year was in 1957. All right, how you doing so far? We're about a third of the way through. Hopefully you got rid of some time windows. Here is event number 6. Disney legend Mark Davis retires from full-time work with the Disney Company. What year did Disney legend Mark Davis retire from full-time work with the Disney company? Hopefully you know some of your Imagineering trivia here. All right, time's up on this one. That was back in 1978. 1978. All right, event number 7. At the Frontierland Shooting Arcade in the Magic Kingdom, the lead pellet shooting rifles are replaced with infrared light rifles. When did that happen? When did they take away the lead pellet shooting rifles and replace them with infrared light rifles? And how many people out there remember shooting those lead pellet rifles at the Magic Kingdom? If you do, you might be able to get this year right. All right, the year was 1982. It happened way back in 1982. All right, let's go to event number 8. Another Imagineering one for you. Marty Sklar joins Disneyland as a full-time employee. What year did Marty Sklar join Disneyland as a full-time employee? All right, time's up. That was in 1956. That's when Marty Sklar joined the company as a full-time employee. All right, event number 9. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is reacquired from Universal. What year did Disney get back the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit from Universal? Now the merchandise is everywhere. Before this year, they couldn't do it. All right, that happened in 2006. 2006. All right, event number 10. America on Parade debuts for the Bicentennial at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. What year did America on Parade debut for the Bicentennial at Disneyland and Walt Disney World? If you know when the Bicentennial happened, you probably can zone in on this one pretty well. All right, time's up. 1975. Yeah, that's when America on Parade debuted. All right, we're 10 questions in, only 5 questions left. Hopefully, you don't have that many time windows left, and maybe even some of you have already used them all. Congrats if you did. And here is event number 11. Star Tours lets Disneyland guests travel through the Star Wars universe for the first time. When did Star Tours debut at Disneyland? What year? Almost time. Time's up. All right, 1987. That is when Star Tours debuted at Disneyland. All right. Event number 12. Disney legend Herb Ryman sketches the original design for Disneyland, which helped sell the idea to bankers and get the funding Walt Disney needed. So, what year did Herb Ryman sketch that original design for Disneyland? Very, very famous piece of concept art. Probably all saw it a bunch of times. When was it created? That would be the year 1953. All right, we're down to the final 3 events. How you doing out there? Hopefully good. We got 3 left. Here we go. President Richard Nixon gives his famous "I am not a crook" speech at Disney's Contemporary Resort. In what year did Richard Nixon give his famous "I am not a crook" speech which occurred at the contemporary resort, Walt Disney World? Well, that happened in 1973. 1973. All right. Last couple questions here. The Yacht and Beach Club resorts opened at Walt Disney World. What year did the Yacht and Beach Club resorts open at Walt Disney World? A little bit of resort history for you. Maybe you stayed at one of these resorts. Maybe you were there when it opened. Let's see. And time's up. 1990. It was the year 1990. All right, we're on to our final event. Event number 15. Here we go. Another presidential event for you. President Barack Obama gives a speech about boosting tourism from inside the Magic Kingdom on Main Street, USA. So you can at least narrow it down with the years Barack Obama was president. What year did he give a speech about boosting tourism right on Main Street, USA, inside the Magic Kingdom? All right, that happened in the year 2012. 2012. All right. Those are our 15 events here in this edition of Disney Decades. How'd you do? Did you get rid of all your time windows? How quickly did you get rid of all your time windows? Maybe you missed it by just one. We'd love to see those comments. So you can comment here, right here on this video. Let us know how you did. Let us know which ones you got right, which ones you got wrong. We had some tricky ones in there. We went way back. But we really appreciate you tuning into this edition of Disney Decades. Of course, subscribe to the Parchive channel, and you will get all the alerts whenever we release a new episode. We have a new episode coming your way each and every Thursday right here on this channel. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Disney Decades. I'm Nick LoCicero, and I'll see you next time.